Joined by my good friends, my former colleague and superstar of Late Kick with Josh Pate on 247 Sports, and CBS Sports HQ superstar, and CBS Sports Network superstar, Josh Pate. What's up, dude?
You want to do that thing where like people hold their mic like this and then they pass it around, or should we just old school it?
I've had so many audio issues and video issues that I changed the settings on this thing, and it actually works.
So accidentally,
it's not like a unidirectional mic. It actually works a little bit better.
We could speakerphone a third person in here if we want to. Not that it would be responsible, but we could do it.
Yeah, we could. Who do you want to call?
I don't really have many friends, so I don't know. I have no idea.
Chris Hassel available?
Everybody I know is here.
All right, so we're here. Yep. Texas and Oklahoma are here. Texas fans and media love talking about Texas because they think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Have you picked up on that?
I have.
I've heard that.
Is Texas the greatest thing since sliced bread? Or at least good enough to be like in the bakery?
They're in the bakery.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're not in the day-old aisle.
Sure.
So they are
the Dollar General. That's where Dollar General bread goes.
Meemaw made all my PB&Js on day-old bread when I was growing up, so I got nothing against day-old bread. Yeah, they're there. I turn on Kirby's big room presser this morning. Like, one of the first questions he got was, do you think Texas is one of the best teams?
Oh, my God.
Do you think Texas is a good team?
It happened, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, they asked, how does it feel to play a great program like Texas? I'm like, you do realize you're talking to the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, right? Like, it's not, he's seen tougher teams and
or has he?
More historically successful teams than Texas.
So here's the thing.
I want to know the thing.
If I divorce myself from all that, and I just talk about like what I think about Texas, there are a lot of deserved, I think is the word, accolades.
That works.
You could heap accolades on them all day. They just made the playoff last year.
Right.
I have thought, though, like I try and strike that balance, because there are a lot of folks who yell Texas sucks, they're going to get chewed up and spit out by the SEC.
That's not true.
That's of course not true. They're also not going to run roughshod over the Conference.
No.
That's not true either. But here's the thing I have found is you don't get many clicks if you just tell the truth about Texas. You got to be one extreme or the other, and that's okay.
Or just use the name Arch Manning.
That's true.
Arch Manning goes to the bathroom. Yeah. Arch Manning had a sandwich. That works.
So Texas, they're one of a few very, very good programs that should get benefit of the doubt in their quest to contend for the SEC and contend for a playoff spot. But to me, like, the more interesting sub-layer of this conference is the what-if teams.
Yeah.
Like, what if the portal guys gel for Ole Miss? What if Nico really is that good? What if Oklahoma's offensive line is average to slightly above average? Because there's this...
Because they're significally below average right now.
But if we're wrong about that, or we just get questions answered in the affirmative, Texas has that, I guess, on their defensive line.
Yeah.
But Texas is a program with wiggle room. Georgia, wiggle room. I guess Bama maybe still. We'll see about them this year. But, I have no interest in what people think about Texas, only because it's redundant.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
It's the same thing over and over again. So, they're good. They might succeed. Whatever. All right.
Yeah. Look at how the face tenses up when you even talk about it.
It's insane.
This is what happens when people don't talk about the sport year round.
Yes.
You've got to then come to media days and listen to people for the first time think they're delivering a revolutionary question on content that you've discussed since January.
Yes.
All right. My life is tough, man.
Yeah, right. Nico, you mentioned Nico. Iamaleava. We do not mispronounce his name on purpose to get clicks for a podcast.
Correct.
Other people in our line of work sometimes do, and that's not very cool. So, I think that Nico is more Hendon Hooker than Joe Milton. We knew what Joe Milton was last year.
Yep.
Fastball, could throw it out of the building, no changeup. And he showed that. Nico, I think, can be a superstar if he gets some help at the running back position. Wide receivers, they're fine. Offensive line, I think they're okay. Running back position is key. If they get some help, is Tennessee one of those teams that can actually win the playoff or just get in?
I would stop short of saying they can win the whole thing. I don't stop much short of it. They feel like that classic team of if they get in, anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's like you remember, I don't even know what the Major League Baseball playoff format is, but you remember back in the day when they
It does not help the Braves, I can tell you that.
Sure. When they first instituted the wild card and the Marlins had those two teams that won it all, and you were like, boy, if they get in, look out. Josh Beckett, like, look out. That's kind of how we would talk about Tennessee nowadays. So that's the difference, though, between being a plucky dark horse contender versus being in the same conversation as Georgia, Texas, Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're in there yet, but that's only because of the question you just asked.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another of the what ifs.
Yeah.
There's like a great big what if club in the SEC this year. If they have that, I can tell you what is refreshing. What's refreshing is we're not talking about Tennessee anymore like we talked about LSU defensively last year. They've at least raised their caliber of play defensively to respectability. And when I was over there this spring, they didn't even. Their instinct was not to talk about offense.
Yeah.
Their instinct was actually to talk about defense, and that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
They haven't recruited.
But it's their front seven, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh, I think, understands that this team actually might be driven by its defense.
Oh, boy. Are you doing that thing where you call coaches by their first name? Because you know the fans don't like that.
Well, I don't call him coach because that's disrespectful. He's not my coach.
Well, he is a coach, though.
He's not my coach.
This is a slippery slope we're on right now about dignitaries not being our dignitaries. So what we'll do is we'll redirect back onto the lane we are paid to be in. I think that there are a couple of there's a level, elite recruiting level, notch below that. That's it. Not 5 notches below, a notch below that. There's probably a caliber of staff. Maybe they're a notch below elite there. So there's a lot of really good there. That's this sport. It's really hard to be great in any one, much less multiple areas of your program. That's why very few programs contend year over year.
Yeah.
So it's not like drawing the short straw if you're a fan to hear that. There's going to be some team, maybe this year, maybe next year, or the year after that draws the 9 seed and wins this thing. It could very well be Tennessee.
Yeah.
You just got to show it on the line of scrimmage, like you said. You got to have. If you don't have the run game, you don't have consistency in performance. That means
consistency in performance. Sabanism.
Of course.
Sabanism. And a Butch Jonesism.
Tennessee
fans don't like that.
What do you know? It works. But that means you win 40-20 1 week and lose 38-23 the next week because you didn't have consistency in performance. It's the process.
It is the process. You didn't get the hibachi hands like Saban.
But I ate hibachi last night.
Did you? Where?
Yes. I forget. It was tougher to pronounce than Nico's last name. Let me say that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I practiced Nico's last name. Iamaliava. I got that one down. All right. Are you buying that Missouri is anything?
Yeah.
I'm kind of. You say yeah, like you're sort of unsure. I say no, like I'm sort of unsure. Because we haven't been in a situation where Eli has to sustain success.
Yeah. Eli with expectation.
Yeah.
The schedule plays a big part here.
Yeah.
So if they were to even go 1-2 in those 3 big games, there's a world where Missouri is not looked at as a 10-2 team that lost a majority of their big games.
Yeah.
They're just looked at as a 10-2 SEC team.
Sure.
And that SEC schedule is all-encompassing. That wouldn't necessarily be right, but it just may be.
Yeah.
And if anyone gets screwed out of a spot in a 12-team playoff and tries to complain about it, I may saw my arms off and beat you over the head with them. So Missouri may get in. That's why I say it the way I do. They have not earned the right to blindly have confidence placed in their ability to reload.
Yeah.
They haven't acquired talent at that level. It's not bad. In fact, it's as good as it's probably ever been at Missouri right now. But they're not recruiting like Georgia.
No,
Georgia,
not at all.
You don't even have to know the names of the players to know, they'll just be a certain level
Well,
of good.
they just cloned them, like at the lab.
Yeah.
Like in one of the academic buildings, like, oh yeah, Michael Williams is going to leave after this year. Hey, go spend an hour in this thing that looks like an MRI machine, and we'll just clone you, and you'll play next year.
So, competitive team. Don't forget now, they lost quality coaches defensively. They lost a great running back.
Superstar running back.
And they feel, we were up there this spring too, they'll talk to you all day about how confident they are that they backfilled those spots. And I actually think they may have on the coaching staff. But dude, I'm just telling you, it's not that I would be shocked but I'm not going to be the guy who gets let down because I predicted Missouri to do all the big things.
Yeah.
I'd rather be the guy that says, well, Missouri exceeded my expectation a little bit.
I think the last two questions I asked you about Tennessee and Missouri getting into the college football playoff, it hurts my soul to ask you that.
It wouldn't suck if they were there. It sucks.
It just sucks that they can get there.
Yeah, they could be 2 of 10 teams there.
I don't know about you. Politics are very divisive these days.
Yeah, we never text about it. That's for sure.
Never ever text about it. But I'm like a politician when it comes to the 12-team playoff.
Okay.
I've made my concession call to whatever the representative on the other party is.
Yep.
The people who like the 12-team playoff.
The expansionist party. Yeah.
I like to call them communists, but expansionist party is fine. And so, like, now, I don't know how you feel. I'm getting excited enough about the 12-team playoff because it's college football.
Yep.
Like, I hate to focus on the playoff all the time. And I think that's a big reason why the sport has changed a little bit in terms of its DNA, because everything has been all about the playoff. But are you kind of feeling the same way where you've sort of made the concession and you're still excited about college football and you're no longer disappointed with where it's going in the postseason this year?
That was the only way to be. Once it became obvious, and it's a formality that you're going to expand. I said that on our show many times. I said, I'm banging this drum as hard as I can. Once a decision gets made, I'm not going to be the dude who sits here and I told you so every show.
It's still a great sport.
Yeah.
I mean, college football's still a great sport.
Sure. And it's well within my right to focus on the regular season just as much as I always did, which I will. It is going to be true. Like, it's kind of like the Texas conversation. Texas doesn't suck. Texas isn't the greatest thing in the history of mankind. It's something in between.
Yeah.
Well, the playoff's not the worst thing ever. The playoff is certainly not the greatest thing ever. So even someone who is against expansion, I can tell you, of course there are going to be games in November that have different kinds of meaning. It comes with the trade-off that the elite teams aren't going to play in meaningful games.
Correct.
But you've got that Kansas State, Iowa State could mean worlds different things to us. And also you'll see more teams get an opportunity. The playoff product itself, I think, will be incredible. I never argued that.
I agree too.
If you just look at it in total isolation, 12 teams.
And that's what expansionists look at. They don't look at the. And here's the thing about all of this, and I was thinking about this over the last 3 years. Winning the national championship. The reason I don't like expansion is that I don't really care all that much about the national championship.
I don't either.
I care about college football. If you just played the season and bowl games and you didn't have an AP top 25 and there was no national champion, I would be perfectly fine with
Completely agree, and it's the only sport we would feel that way about.
Yes, 100%.
Would never say that about pro
okay.
sports. Yeah.
And that's, to me, one of the disappointing things about the playoff is not that the casual sports fan has started to complain about once a national championship more than anything else. It's that people in our industry have sort of moved to that point where it's all they think about. And I love the fact that we can watch Iowa State rush the field against Iowa in week 2 to win a rivalry that in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean all that much to the postseason at all.
Yeah, I had someone the other day, I was on a show, and someone said, they thought they were explaining something to me about Ohio State and Michigan. And they said...
you've been to that game, right?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Pretty big deal. And they said, well, yeah, if Ohio State loses to Michigan, it doesn't matter, because ultimately, think about what they can do above and beyond.
Matters.
Well, but they said, because this is their mind, they said, yeah, if they lose that game, who cares if they go on to win the national title? Meaning, the level of hierarchy is the rivalry game that's been here forever, then the recently constructed man-made conference title game, then the even more recently constructed man-made college football playoff. I value all those things.
Now you're getting hibachi hands.
Yeah, it's like this right here.
Yeah.
And so, chop, chop.
Josh, appreciate it.
Pleasure.
I talk to you all the time.
Yeah. It's a nice office you got here.
Except the blinding sun. Like without the hair, you and I are in the same spot.
Well, I'm actually going to turn around for 20 minutes after we wrap, just so I can even out my base color here.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Josh, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.